Welcome to the Startup Grind.
So, hi guys, can I have your attention please? Yeah, Chris, you can just wait for a while because I would like to, at the beginning, thank you very much that you came tonight. We really appreciate your effort and time because of so many changes for the last moment. But yeah, Chris is here, we are here, and you are here, so that's awesome. At the beginning, I would like to tell you a little bit more about Startup Grind because I know that not any one of you know about Startup Grind and our activities here in Prague. Since we are the largest startup community in the world, we are right now organizing events in 300 cities, 110 countries. What we are actually trying to achieve is support local entrepreneurs through education, inspiration, and connection with other potential local entrepreneurs, mentors, advisors, and investors. Today I would like to give big thanks to Dusan from Club Investoru for partnering this event and for so much support with the marketing and anything around. After that, K10 for providing this amazing venue and Global Entrepreneurship Week for support with organizing this event as well. Three more things. Firstly, please follow us on Facebook and social media. We'll be really grateful for that. Secondly, if you have any questions regarding to interview, please go to Slido, and at the end of the event we will have some part for Q&A, so we'll definitely try to answer them. And finally, and most importantly, I ask you to help anyone in this room, maybe just create some meaningful connection or giving feedback on their ideas. You never know how maybe it would help them, maybe in this stage of their career or doing business. And today we have a really special guest. Is really successful young entrepreneur from US who is right now doing. He's a founder of Cazza. He's an ex-founder of Aptitude company. He's listed as in Forbes Magazine 30 under 30. Please give a warm welcome to Kelsey.
I hate that guy.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Thanks, man.
How's everyone doing?
Okay, so we really appreciate that you came tonight. So maybe let's get back to the beginnings. Yeah, sure, of course. Thanks.
Yep. Sure.
So maybe if you could tell us where are you from and how did you grow up from the very beginning? So what was your way?
So I grew up I was born in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I lived in Stroudsburg, which is in Pennsylvania, until I was 8. When I was 8, I moved to northwestern Florida. And then when I was 12, I got a little bit into web coding because my friend was doing it. He would edit the HTML of like the Google homepage and like say, his name was Micah, so he'd be like, you know, I hacked Google or something like that. And then we'd show everyone in the classroom that we hacked Google. We didn't actually hack it, we just pretended with the HTML code. So then everyone, like the teachers they weren't sure if they should call the cops or if they should scream like that. But yeah, it was pretty funny. And then that's what kind of got me interested in the coding a little bit more. But it wasn't until 13 that I started getting more into HTML. And then I quit because my computer sucked and it was so slow that I was like, oh, I hate this. So I literally just quit at that point.
And have you ever thought that you'll become entrepreneur? Maybe, I don't know if you have anyone around you, maybe parents or...
So my dad sold weed, that was his job, so he grew marijuana. We moved to California when I was 13, in 2010, and since 2009 that's what his job was. He doesn't do it anymore, he lives in Thailand now. Don't worry, he's not on the run. Yeah, so my dad was an entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but when I was in high school, I would tell myself that I wanted to be a dentist or a pharmacist. And then I talked to my cousin who's a pharmacist, and he was just telling me it's the same thing every day, it's really boring, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't do this. And then I talked to my dentist, and my dentist was like, showing me all this equipment. Went to school for 12 years and all this stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do all that crap. Like, I just want to make money now, you know? So then I'm like, I'm not going to be a dentist. So then, like, middle of 2014, right after my junior year of high school, my third year of high school, I started reading a lot of business books because I was like, you know, I got to do something. I don't want to just, you know, mess up. So I started a bunch of different business ideas that just completely failed. which I don't even look at them as failures. It's just like you test it out, it doesn't work, move on to the next one. And then in December 2014 is when I dropped out of high school. I was living in Northern California at the time. My parents were very not happy. My mom cried like almost every day for a few weeks. I remember I told my dad, like, my dad took me, because we lived in an apartment complex. My parents were divorced since 2011, so it was just my dad and I went to the hot tub in the apartment complex, and he's like, first he's like being nice and stuff, and then he's like trying to tell me I was kind of, not that I was going to be a loser for dropping out of school, but like no one's going to work with you, you know, everything's going to be very difficult, you just made your life completely difficult for no reason, blah, blah, blah. And I remember like I said to him, like, I'm going to make 25 grand within the next month and a half or something like that, and I was like crying, you know, and I left because I was just pissed off that everyone, because literally everyone, all my friends and everyone like was saying I was stupid for doing it. Not all of them saying I'm stupid, but you know, no one was like on, pretty much no one was on my side.
Did you know the time how to make this amount of money, or?
No, I didn't. I was just like, I'm gonna figure it out. So then I was like, oh, you know, a lot of people pay a lot of money for apps and app development. So I was like, you know, I don't know how to code apps, but I know I can find freelancers online. So I posted an ad on Craigslist offering app development services, and then within 2 weeks I had a contract for $16,500. So January 3rd I received a $7,500. January 3rd I believe the contract was signed, or that's the day I received the payment of $7,500. January 3rd, 2015. January 3rd or January 6th. It's one of the two. But
so who was the first client for the development app? It was like kind of a B2B.
It was a student travel app, and I got very nervous actually when it happened because I didn't actually have a developer ready yet, so I had to like find one online. I didn't know how to find a good developer because I was like, you know, it was my first time doing it, so I was like, I remember I went on this website Fiverr and I hired like this really bad graphics designer. And it was just, he made the UI for the app, and it was like really, actually no, I tried making the UI first, and I knew nothing about design, and I was using this really horrible, I don't even remember what the name of the platform, it was like a web platform that was just horrible, and he's like, you know, I like it, but maybe we could change this or this, and I could tell he was just like saying it fucking sucks, you know, so then I hired a designer, and they actually did a really good job, really good at a job for what it was at the time. And I was like, oh wow, like things are coming through, and I got the developer, and I almost got scammed hiring this one developer, and then I finally found one that did a pretty good job, and I was like, oh wow, like the app actually works, you know, and then I'm like, wow, now we have an app, and then we got more contracts. So within the first 3 months, I had $100,000 worth of contracts, not $100,000 in the bank, but you know, around probably like 30,000, 35,000, 40,000 already paid up from those contracts within 3 months of dropping out of high school.
Okay, so and this app development, it was the beginning of Aptitude of your company. So
Aptitude. So I remember I don't think I had the name Aptitude until like maybe March. So before then I was just literally like as myself, like Kelsey, a 17-year-old doing it. And then my dad actually came up with the idea because he always thinks of like funny names for stuff, and he's like, how about Aptitude? And all my friends were like, that's such a dumb name, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like it. So I just stuck with it. And I even remember one of the first journalists, one of the first articles, he was like saying how it was a stupid name because like it should be app, like you could say, a lot of people say aptitude instead of aptitude, and I agree, but I didn't care obviously, but you know, a lot of people made fun of the name in the beginning. And I remember the first logo that we had, which was horrible. It was just like this, I don't know, imagine like the most plain text saying like aptitude, and then it's like, just as building apps with attitude in orange with a period at the end. I don't know. It was like the ugliest logo you could ever imagine.
So okay, so business for Aptitude was apps development, and did you have some specific sector or fields where
really,
you actually build applications?
So I actually just focused on getting Craigslist ads, and that's where most of my money came from, was Craigslist. I was just like traveling the world, working from my computer. I've been to like almost 25 countries in the last 2 years. Just, you know, I was just doing the business, but it was kind of boring because like we had to deal with developers like delaying stuff, and it was just like, I mean, it was cool, don't get me wrong, it was an amazing feeling, but there was a lot of issues, and I hired a lot of crappy people that just like, not crappy people, like they're good-hearted and good people, but they were not the right fit for the job at that time. So it led to a lot of wasted money of events. Like I had this, so I made this one guy, and he's a great person. I'm not gonna say his name, but when he sees this, he'll know I'm talking about him. But he's a great guy, so don't get me wrong. But I hired him. I said, okay, you're gonna be the chief marketing officer of Aptitude, even though there was no like merit. It was just like I just said, you're gonna be this, right? This is like February 2016, or yeah, around there. And he's like, okay. So South by Southwest was happening in Texas, so I got him an Airbnb for like a shared couch. I paid like $3,000 for like the top ticket that he could get or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go. He's gonna go network and we're gonna get a bunch of contracts and all this stuff. We didn't. Besides the fact that we didn't get any contracts, I found out that like on my Airbnb, because I use my Airbnb to make the posting, and it said like on the review, it said there was a few issues on the review of my account. It was like the owner said there's a few issues, but overall it was a great. The guy is a great person. And I messaged the guy. I'm like, what happened? And he's like, well, it was a shared, so I got him, I think it was like it was either a private bedroom or a shared, I think there was a shared couch because like nothing was available, like the hotels, everything was booked, so it was like the only Airbnb I could find. So it was like a shared couch, it was supposed to be one person on the couch. Apparently he brought like 3 friends without telling me, and they all stayed and like, stayed at this Airbnb unexpected, totally not supposed to do it, and the guy was actually cool with it. The host, which was amazing.
Okay, because actually Aptitude became a huge success, your first business, and after 2 years you become in profit around $10 million and 60 employees.
So we had a very great success. One of the things that I learned, and this was one of the aspects of business that we definitely wanted to make things sound bigger than they were, just for the sake of, at the time, to build up more hype for what we were doing. Like, they say fake it till you make it. So, and actually we're having a book written, which is gonna actually tell all of the specific details of my story then. But I'll put it like this: I faked it till I made it.
So if you could say maybe 3 challenges during these 2 years, what was it? What you have to actually achieve?
Figuring out what I want to do with my life. Actually, like a lot of it. So here's the thing: like in May we had so I started doing Cazza, right? And in May, by that point, we had raised around $900,000 seed funding at a $25 million valuation. And I realized, like I told Fernando, my business partner at the time, like I realized like we're gonna be billionaires pretty soon. And I was like, what are we gonna do with this money? And he's just like, I don't know, man. And I'm just like, well, what are we gonna do with this? Like, what are we gonna do with our lives once we actually are billionaires? Because this is gonna happen very soon. And I was just like, I felt very intimidated and just like kind of got depressed. So I went to Amsterdam and took shrooms and went through this whole like 6-month period of depression that it was only until a few weeks ago I got out of. But it wasn't the shrooms that made me depressed. It was that it helped me realize what I actually wanted to do in my life. And I realized that I wasn't focusing on the things that I actually wanted, because I knew that I knew that like I was gonna have the money, but it was like more the love in my life. So like, for example, how can I put it? Like, I had friends, everything, but I wanted like my soulmate, you know what I mean? Who I found now. But it was crazy because like I went through this whole thing of like, oh, I'm living in the Matrix, everything's fake, all this shit, blah, 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 my life's over, like, all this stuff. And, Fernando's like, what the fuck? Like, he's just trying to run Cazza, and I'm just like depressed for months on end, right? I started making music. I moved to LA, and I moved to LA in August. I started making rap songs and stuff because I wanted to just get my pain out. Another thing was too, is like I always wanted to be a rapper, but everyone's like, well, if you're in tech and stuff, it's gonna ruin your reputation, all this kind of shit. And I'm like, you know what, fuck you guys. Like, I'm gonna do this myself, So that's what I did, and now I have songs with pretty decently famous people, and I just dropped 1 or 2 songs. My manager did yesterday, which we haven't promoted yet, but.
Maybe I'm just thinking about what was the actually point in your ride that where, because you were quite successful in apps development, so what was the point that you realized that, okay, maybe I would like to move to a 3D printing house? So what was the actually trigger for this kind of change in your career, in your business?
So consciously I was thinking, oh, I can make this startup get the highest valuation ever and like become like the youngest millionaire in the world. But I think subconsciously what I actually the main reason was because I knew that the technology would change the world for the better, completely change the whole world. and completely change the economy and everything, like for the better, 100%. I didn't realize that at the time, and I think that's also because I didn't want to believe in even though I did a lot of successful things, I still didn't believe in myself in the way that I wanted to. Like I wanted to really change the world, and I was like, no, I can't be the one that does that. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the thing for me that made me go crazy, was like, I know I'm gonna get this money, but like I want to change the world. Like how am I gonna do that? I don't want to just like build, I mean, don't get me wrong, Snapchat, great company, I'm very happy for their success, but it's not saving millions of lives or completely changing people's lives just by having a high valuation for an app. Which, like I said, still amazing job on their part for what they did, great job, but for me, I was like, I don't want to just do that. Like, I don't want to just be another tech company that gets a high valuation, you make a lot of money, and then like you never really do anything. Like, I wanted to actually change the world. So that's also why I got depressed, because I felt like I wasn't on that path. I felt like I was just on the path of trying to make money. So that was another thing that was.
Okay, and from the very beginning, you were alone, in this business, or
With
because,
Aptitude?
did you have an idea because you were thinking that, maybe you were seeing how is, working the building and construction business, and
So
I
actually, what happened was, I was doing Aptitude, and I was just kind of like getting a bit bored and annoyed with it, because we're getting like all these projects were getting delayed because I didn't hire very good developers, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe they were good, but just random things kept happening. Like I had to like sleep in my car for a week because like I couldn't pay the salaries, and I wanted to make sure that like I paid them before I could pay for myself. So like I literally like was living out of my car, and then like going to the gym every morning and like literally living out of my car. So I took a lot. It's funny because I made a lot of quote unquote sacrifices to get to where I did, having to sleep at my friend's shared office space for like a month back in December 2015, because it was funny actually. I had money, but I was so I remember I had like 20 grand in my bank account, but I was like so obsessed with getting a Rolex, like this gold Rolex present. I spent half the money on it just to get the watch because it was my dream watch at the time. And then I was like, oh well, now I can't really afford the rent for San Francisco, so I have to stay in. Like, so I have like this nice watch, but I'm literally like living like super cheap in for free in San Francisco. My friend's shared office, trying to like make Aptitude work. So I had all these like really weird things like that happen, where like, you would have thought that I was doing perfectly fine, and really like I was just like going through so much crap in my head. And everyone goes through it. It's just that like literally every single one of us in this room goes through it, and I guarantee all of us have had the same thoughts at some point. It's just that we don't always say it. And I think that the issue with Silicon Valley so far is that they talk about the success and everything like that, but a lot of them are we still have never received any funding from Silicon Valley. I know that'll change soon, but like when we first started with Cazza, with raising funding, people they weren't interested, maybe because they thought it was too good to be true or too revolutionary, that they were scared to invest. Like because we met with these big investors, and I could tell that they wanted to invest, but like they just didn't pull the trigger, and we were always just confused. Anyway.
Did you have some, some friend or some colleague from the very beginning of the Cazza who were on the path with you? Or?
After we were on the Forbes 30 under 30 list, Fernando and I, then Fernando's friends, like one of them just put in 700K, another one put 100K in, then his aunt put 50K in. I got 100K from a Saudi CEO, or he's from Lebanon, but he's the CEO of a real estate development company in Saudi Arabia. So. That all of that was happening, yeah. Okay,
so because you were starting a company in the US, so why so many so far is so many messages from Dubai, because there is some probably key projects for your corporation.
So I have a funny story. So when we first started, we actually didn't have like we announced. So. This was like October 2016. So I was still doing Aptitude. I was like, we're getting on our last tens of thousands of dollars in Aptitude. Like, or we're like, okay, we're not gonna be able to afford to live very soon, right? And I'm like, we gotta do something crazy to like get to get investors to like get some kind of hype, because we were going to all these investor meetings. I lived in Beijing from August till November of last year, going in between Shenzhen and different parts of China. And like we were trying to get the investors for the idea, and nothing was working. Like no one cared. Everyone's like, oh, we want fintech, we want this, we want that. Like it was just rejection. Like I don't know, 30 times going to different offices, done, every time fail. Despite, you know, that's actually why I purposely, at the time, we really tried to make Aptitude seem like it was a bigger success than it was. It was a successful company, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as big as it seemed, because we were trying to get the investments for the company, but to actually build the machine. So we just like literally, I had a vision for what I wanted the machine to do, but I didn't fully know. You know, I saw what what different companies were already doing. I saw the capabilities of what their machines could potentially do. So I literally just like took with the capabilities of what they said their machine was doing, and I said that we have this machine already done, and it's top secret. We're not showing it yet, but we're going to release it soon. And then it went all over the news, and we ended up getting invited by the government to Dubai. All these different things started happening. Like holy crap, like stuff's actually popping off, you know. And then we literally, like I said, in terms of faking it till we make it, like we made it seem like we were this big startup, fully funded and all this stuff. We didn't say that we had raised funding. We didn't lie about that. But you know, we just made ourselves seem bigger than we were. And then I ended up getting invited to the Pentagon, you know, meeting with the U.S. military about this stuff. And you know, I was just showing them like these designs that we had that were very unimpressive. It was just like some kind of sketches that I had in my head. And but the thing is though that even though, you know, we were not, you know, even though like we weren't doing the best job of like, you know, we didn't have the machine or anything yet, people could sense that we had the vision and that we had the drive, and that if someone was, because we put our reputation, we put everything, technically you could even say my life on the line in a way. I don't like to use that because I don't, but technically like we really put ourselves at major risk by some of the press releases that we had. Because a lot of big companies were pissed off because we were saying stuff that we could do that these big construction companies were trying to do, and they were like, you know, who are these random 20, you know, I was 19 going to the Pentagon and all this stuff, and people were like, how the fuck is this kid doing all this stuff and he doesn't even have a freaking machine yet, you know? So, and now the machines are going to be ready in the next, the goal is by December, but we're saying January publicly to be safe, but everything now is great. But
so right now you actually have some pre-orders on your website for the machines.
Yep.
You mentioned that you have, I don't know, two machines.
We have two machines that we're building right now, yep.
Okay, and maybe let's talk about business. Mm-hmm. So if we are going to cost, if you can compare, you know, the usual way how it's working, you know, building houses. What is the difference? I mean, in terms of costs, if you could compare maybe some examples.
Yep. So I would say that it goes back to the material, like, because there's certain materials that we want to use that need to be produced at a large scale. Like, if they're not, then the materials are more expensive. But assuming that all the conditions are proper, that we can properly build everything the way that it should be with the materials that are produced at the scale that they are.
What mean proper?
like for example, the concrete formulas that we have are not normal formulas. So if we ask for it, like, you know, a small amount of concrete to be produced, it's going to cost a lot. But if we do tons of concrete and we're doing it for lots of projects, it'll be really a lot cheaper. So if we can do it in mass quantities, you could save just on the material cost probably around 30-40%. That's just as of today, right? And then you're saving on the labor cost because it's automating major parts of building the houses and soon to be skyscrapers and buildings. This machine, the X1 that the public has seen, is actually like the smallest part of what you can imagine for what we're doing with the company. Like, there's so much more to it in terms of automation. It's just that we don't want to like show. It's not that we don't want to show everything at once. It's more just that we want to have everything fully planned out before we show everything else. But this machine is already revolutionary, and it's only the first step of something much greater that we will be doing very soon.
Okay, so you mentioned the material. So there's concrete, and it's concrete with a mixture of steel or
not steel, just different. There's different formulas that we're testing actually right now to see which one's the best. But like, we already have research from different groups that have already done this, you know, because we did not invent 3D printing construction. We were just, you know, made the most, I guess you could say, advanced version of it, at least in our eyes. Of course, maybe the competitors might disagree, but at least my goal at least was to make the best of the best, you know. And I actually would like at some point to partner with the different companies that are in it, because I feel that, like, I look at this now, before I looked at this as like a money thing, right? Or maybe I didn't look at it as a money thing, but at least I was lying to myself that it was about the money. But now I'm more like, it's like not Team Cazza or just Team Us, it's like Team World. So it's more like whoever wants to help, if they're doing their own company, if we can help them in some way, obviously, like, because sometimes, you know, people will want to help or work with you, and then you can tell that they're just not ready yet. They're not mature enough for whatever reason. And then other times, you know, that it's just ready to work you know, like there's this one startup that wanted to partner with us, and I'm like, I love you guys, I want to partner with you guys, but like our company's not at this stage with our technology that we can use this thing that they're doing yet, you know. But when those things happen, then it allows us to collaborate and actually make things happen.
Okay, so now we will have the machines. You have material. You have some team.
Yep.
So maybe if you could talk about how is it, you know, the building team, for example, if you could compare it, the team which you actually built in Aptitude and the team which you are building right now with Cazza, because you don't have a team only in US, but you're scaling up all around the world in 3 or 4 locations. So what is important to you if you are looking for onto your team?
What am I looking for?
Yeah.
Really just someone that's motivated. You know, for example, Ophir, who's sitting there with the glasses and the swag shirt, he messaged me a year ago on Skype when I was in Thailand, and he's like, hey man, you know, I also dropped out of high school, I want to, you know, see how we could work together and everything. And back then I was just like, even then, I mean, I realized that for a lot of I don't want to say I was depressed my whole life, that's a very harsh word to say, but I felt like I didn't know what I wanted for a very long time in my life. And Ophir is an example of someone that was reaching out to me, you know, wanting to collaborate, and I kind of just ignored him, and I was just like, oh, another person messaging me, oh, blah, blah, blah. Just, you know, very not, I wouldn't say I was a rude person, but I was just dealing with my own problems in my head at that time, because I was going through a lot of stuff too. You know, we all go through our own stuff in our lives, so, you know, to me, and then I like recently I had this like awakening in my mind within like the past month. And I started opening up to a lot of people that had reached out to me before that I ignored, and I realized that like everyone that I've been talking to, like Ophir is extremely smart and extremely intelligent. We're going to be working together with Cazza and many other businesses, and he's an amazing person. And you know, it was just like I realized that I had been closing my mind to other people, and I realized like you can't do that. Like if you really want to succeed, you have to be open to new people and to want to bring change, because really at the end of the day, it's like we're the human race, like we have to work together. Like it's not just like we can just, you know, think that it's all about ourselves. There's so many things that I do that like I don't think about. Like today I was at the airport and I had like $500 cash, and I went to, I'm not saying this to brag either, I'm just giving this as an example of random things that I do. I was at the airport and I just said, I have too much money in my wallet, here's $300 cash to the cashier lady at like, I think it was Panda Express, because I saw there was like 20 people in line. So I was like, just pay for all their food, and I just walked away. You know, like that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, so that's what you actually said around the team, and how many members you have? 60 or how many members are now? You do
around
have
30
your
right
team?
now.
30.
30, yeah.
Okay, and with these 30 guys, do you have some business strategy for in different locations? What is your customer acquisition actually?
So I mean, I've the way that I look at it is, you know, we develop the technology to the best that it can be and continue advancing in that area. So there's the tech side, and then there's the business side. And the business side, before we had this whole idea of doing a franchise program, like, oh, you have to pay, you know, $1 million to become this exclusive franchise partner and all this stuff. And I realized, like, I'm like, I don't want to be a fucking McDonald's. Like, I want to like partner and like actually like help people. So like, there's a lot of people that we had rejected that were really serious about partnering and really wanting to help, even though they didn't have the money. And you know, when I had this awakening, like in the past few weeks, I realized that like I was really like I was holding people back from their own dreams, because they saw what we were doing and they were inspired by it, and I was rejecting them because I didn't think that they had enough money for the franchise program, which it made me feel like a piece of shit. And I was like, you know, why am I why am I doing this, you know? And then so I started reaching out. I remember like this one guy from Detroit, who he kept despite the rejection, he still kept messaging us, and I was like, his name is Amos, and I said, you know, I messaged him randomly. Either I messaged him or I just called him. I think I messaged him first, and I'm like, hi, I'm gonna give you a ring, and he was just shocked, right? Because he's like thinking he's rejected and stuff, and this is like for months that he's been trying to reach out to us, and I'd always just been telling my team to say no, and then.
Actually, you have some Google form, I think, on your website for this franchise program.
Yeah, and we're removing that, yeah. So then I called him, and he was like about to start tearing up because he was like so surprised that I was even calling it, and because I said, I just want to let you know you're going to be our partner for Cazza Detroit. This is like before he even said anything, and he's like, but I didn't even tell you my business plan or anything. I'm like, no, I already know that you're going to do a great job. You're already motivated. You deserve this. And then he actually, you know, besides, you know, having a great conversation with him, he actually did have a great business plan that was freaking amazing, and I'm super happy to partner with him now. So, you know, you have to be open to, like, a lot of people want to just be in circles, and if you know, sometimes people might be weird, or, you know, it's hard to accept them at that moment, but that's why sometimes, like, you just have to be patient. And that was one of the things for me, is I always had very little patience with people, which sometimes I still do have times where I'm not patient, which I can get into in a minute. But, you know, we all have, no one's perfect, we're all humans, so we all have times where we mess up. But at the end of the day, it's about just being there and remembering that, like, all of us are human beings and we all have similar thoughts and feelings. And it's very easy to forget that, and that's why I had forgotten, which I feel like what led to me being feeling down for so long and stuff like that in my life.
Okay, so business strategy is one way is through some franchise program and a network of partners.
Or no, so it's not. So now how it is that we're letting people that are motivated that want to become Cazza partners just become Cazza partners. Fernando, my business partner, was kind of like, oh, I don't know if we should do that at first, but, you know, which obviously I understand where he's coming from. But now we're like, you know, if people want to help out with Cazza, we'll let them help out. And, you know, depends on what they're doing. If it's something that is really involved and we give them equity, we do. If they just want to help out, they're welcome to help out. Like, we don't, I look at this as a community thing and trying to help change the world, not just, you know, just be another startup that just has a robot, you know.
And what about finance? How are you actually supporting?
So we're raising a pre-Series A, $16 million at $100 million valuation right now. I've had interest from a lot of investors, and then right now we're just deciding, you know, who's going to be in the round, waiting for more investors to reach out, and then like even my fiance Denise might be investing, which is cool because I don't think that might, you know.
What's the reaction of investors for your idea, for your project? It's I can just imagine that it's so hyped. You know, it's a very cool technology. But if after that, if you are you know, coming into the real numbers and funding, how it's working?
I think it's interesting, and it's this is gonna sound crazy, and I used to never like say this because I never wanted to sound like cocky or confident, but it's actually true. But I actually felt that in a way, one of the reasons it wasn't so easy for us to get investors, maybe not in China, but from Silicon Valley and those places, was like, it's like if you're the hottest girl in the room, every guy is scared to talk to that hot girl, right? So like everyone thinks that hot girl is like getting hit on by every guy, but really she's getting hit on the least, you know? So we would be getting messages from people and stuff, but no one wanted to actually pull the trigger, because it was like, I feel like maybe they were afraid. I know it sounds maybe cocky or confident to say, but I just feel like a lot of investors, most of them were just like literally afraid to be like even in a call with us because they didn't want to screw it up. Like there's that part. Of course, there's also the controversy because, you know, some funds have construction companies that maybe they feel their interests are not aligned with ours. There's all, you know, politics involved too, and I'm not denying that, but I do think that a lot of investors were literally just kind of in some cases scared, because I've seen so many companies get funding that were like for products that I don't want to say anything negative about them, but really, you know, made me ask, like, why would you fund that company? And then, you know, we have this thing that's like literally like within the next 5 years, like every single construction company is going to be using our technology. Probably within maybe even within 3 years, but definitely within 5 years, our technology, not just the X1, because we're doing software. There's so much that we're doing that I haven't mentioned, everyone's going to be using it.
You mean all around the world?
Everywhere. Africa, everywhere.
Okay, because You know, it
Antarctica.
probably depends, and I'm curious about if there is a possibility to use your material and your machine everywhere around the planet. You know, because for example, if you are using it in Dubai, there is a different temperature. You know,
so
anything.
It's based off. It's localized materials based off of what makes sense for the area, and we're also learning. We're also researching as well new material combinations that we can use, whether it's combining wood and different other materials to not just concrete to build homes. So, you know, my goal is that this is my vision. Part of my vision is that you can literally design any type of home that you want on the computer. Even a 3-year-old can do it, and it'll tell you the exact cost of everything of what it's going to cost. Imagine playing Sims, you know, and you're like building the house, right? And it tells you how much it's going to cost, and boom, you click order, the machines build it, you have your house ready in a week, and it's done. Maybe even less than a week, but that's just one of the ideas that I have, and that will happen within the next 3 years, guaranteed. That's just one thing.
Okay, so let's go through building process, because I saw some images on the web page that yeah, as you mentioned, that at the beginning you will put some 3D model of the house into the software. The software is put it you know through some protocol into the machines. And do you need some specialized workforce? You know, some trainings for you know to actually work with this?
So we have a simplified version of the machine, like for the so the software is actually really cool. Like. I can, if you guys give me, I'll post it online. I'll do something that you guys can easily see some of the UI later. But like, you're literally gonna freak out if you see the UI. Like, it's just like the coolest shit ever. And like the robot, the machines also have cameras on them, so you can like look at the work site through the view of the robot. There's a lot of cool stuff. But anyway, the thing is though is that. Sorry, what was the question again?
If you need some specialized workforce for how to use actually the machine.
You won't, no.
You don't need. So we are just
my goal is that
some
literally
online training or
like a commercial that we're gonna have in the future on TV is that it's gonna be a 3-year-old kid that makes like some really stupid design. Like I don't know what it is, like something that a 3-year-old kid would draw, and then it's like the machine prints it out, and the parents like didn't know about it, and then the parents are like, "What the heck did you just do?" You know, it's like that's like the kind of stuff I have in my mind.
Maybe it depends on statics. If it's you know, it will be for how long it'll stay
like
there.
I can literally imagine, like, because we're doing another thing is that we call is the term crane printing, which is where you take like massive cranes and you attach this module to it that turns it literally into a 3D printer, which you can do concrete and stuff. And I'm imagining like if people were to like hack the machines, or maybe not hack them, but like if you wanted to troll someone, like, because you can build it super fast, right? So like.
Yeah, what's the speed of the printing actually? For example, if we are thinking about some
on average, you can do like 1,000 square foot house per day, like 1 story. Now the thing is that that's going to change very soon. That's just what the machines are doing now. Like we're gonna make it so that building a house is like a joke. Like oh yeah, you want to build a house, done. Like, you know, like we want to make
like hours or
even hours. Yeah, exactly. But not at this stage. Like I said, we're starting with 1,000 square feet per day, per machine. But later it's faster. But what I want to say is this though, like I imagine like this is silly, but like a troll like doing with the crane printing aspect. Like you put it. Imagine someone takes the crane in Dubai and they have like the module of the thing, and someone decides to put some stupid, I don't know, like just like. Fucking, I can't even just imagine some stupid thing that you can make that's like 100 feet tall, and it literally like overnight, like you fuck with your neighbor or something, and like this massive, dumb statue of your dog or something is there, and everyone's like, who the fuck just did that? You know, I don't know, like that's how simple the technology is gonna be.
Okay, and actual speed, if we are talking about, the example as you mentioned, it's for example, I don't know, 3 days or 4 days, because from my
so I mean, you have to do the finishes, you have to add the furniture and everything else to the house and plumbing and all that. The machines will automate that later on, but right now we're just doing the concrete shell. So I mean, yeah, you could do like if you complete an entire house, you could do it in like a week. That's like having furniture done and the whole thing, which you could probably do it faster. I'm just saying a week because I'm conservative with
actually it's a great speed, because when I'm just thinking about the 3D printing for prototyping, I mean like from plastic and just a small 20-inch, and that there is, for example, one something like this glass, and it's maybe you are waiting for that for 20 hours, so this is quite huge. And for example, what about land? Do you need to prepare the land for it if you would like to build on it, or do you have some special module on which you are starting to build?
It depends. I mean, the land would be cleared as a normal construction project. Sometimes you don't need to change the land, but I mean, let's assume that you have to, clear it up so that it has to be for it to be built on. But
at an angle and everything.
It can build at angles, yes, because there's lasers that will determine the location, and then it'll know when to print and when not to print. So you can do it on like a tilt.
And what's the cost for the building machine? I know that.
So the machine, the prices start at around $500,000 US. They cost almost. There's not a very large profit margin on it.
Do you have some calculations, for example, if there will be, some partner who will buy, for example, one machine? What is the break even? In some approximate wage? How many buildings?
It depends if they're doing if they're doing 1,000 houses for a project or 100 houses, then they'll break even a lot faster. If they're just using it for large custom homes here and there, they will save money, but the break-even time will take longer. But if you're if it's a company in Dubai and they're doing 1,000 villas and they need it done in a year, then they're going to save a ton of time and money. Because not only do you save money, but you also save a lot of time. Within the next 3 years, it'll cut down overall construction costs by at least 60 to 80%. The construction time will be at least 80% faster. And it'll be far more environmentally friendly. You're not going to hear construction sounds, when you're walking around town, like drilling and stuff. It's just going to be quiet because it just prints stuff silently, or because it works prefab, where you can do it in a facility and build it and then ship it, or you can build it on site. Either way works. The other thing is that, it's literally just going to everything that you know about construction is about to completely change.
Okay, and you are actually not stopping in the 1 floor, 2 floor houses. You would like to build a skyscraper. Yep. So, and this is because of the crane, construction.
Yep.
Okay, and how it's working there? Because the material is different. For example, for 1 floor than the skyscraper.
Well, when you're doing a skyscraper, you have to have a lot more steel rebar placements and things like that to make sure that it's going to be held properly. So on one hand, we're looking into developing new materials that can withstand, that are actually stronger, or maybe even has steel elements inside, so that we don't have to use rebar anymore. The other aspect, we haven't actually tested the crane printing model yet. We've designed it out, and we know how it's going to work, but we still have to have obviously the scientific. Excuse me. We still have to have the scientific proof behind it. So I believe that, crane printing will be something that's more it depends how much funding we get actually, because if we get a lot of funding my goal is to reach by May, ideally March, but by May, a $5 billion valuation. So maybe potentially raise $1 billion at a $5 billion valuation. If we do that, which would be cool, then we could fund a lot more research on the crane printing stuff. So I say 3 to 5 years because I'm trying to be conservative and not over promise, but things could happen even faster than any of us even know in this room, including me.
Is actually, for example, Dubai government more open to cooperation, with the Cazza and with this kind of business because of the regulation, and maybe there is some better condition if you are compared to US? Is there one of the reasons why you are maybe so much focused?
I don't think so. I'm gonna, I love Dubai. I think the government is amazing, and I love their initiative to push for new technologies. I just felt that at least when we were there, we didn't have the push that we needed. But like I said, it's a great country. The United Arab Emirates is a great country. Dubai is an amazing city. It's beautiful, and I love it. But I just didn't think at that time that we had the push that we needed to really make things happen.
Because, for example, if you are in US, there's maybe different. You needed some different certification for material and everything in each different state or county. So
our goal is to completely automate and revolutionize that process as well, because a lot of our laws, and not just in the United States but across the world, are completely antiquated and stupid. So
You mean like in terms that
in
there
terms
is
of the regulations,
administration, you have to...
the administration, regulations, all that kind of stuff. My goal is, the reason why we computerize it and you estimate the budget and know the materials beforehand is that there's no jerk that can make an excuse and say, oh, blah, blah, blah about this.
It's not so easy, because of the structures and...
Then it takes like 10 years to get approved, and then there's all these people charging way more than what it should be, which, like I said, obviously people have to make money and, everyone wants to make a profit. I get that, but I feel that there's been an excess. It's become excess, and I'm doing Cazza, but there's a lot of things that I'm doing on the side in terms of like we're going to be starting a cryptocurrency bank, like physical banking locations, doing small loans for entrepreneurs, small business loans for entrepreneurs, like people like you guys in the crowd, because I don't think that really anyone really does that, or small investments here and there, like smaller scale investments to help build businesses. It doesn't have to be the next Facebook. It could just be, a store selling basic products, but the main idea is that I'm going to completely get rid of all of the major currencies, like when it comes to the U.S. dollar, Great British Pound. My goal is that within 5 years, those are all completely gone, and that we're strictly using currency or cryptocurrency, so that everything that you pay, you go to the store, tap your phone like Apple Pay, but it's actually going to be you're paying in Bitcoin. We're also going to start our own cryptocurrency, which is the one that we'll control as well.
Okay, are you actually, do you have some Bitcoin, Ethereum, or different kind of cryptocurrency?
I have some Bitcoin.
Yeah? Okay. And, okay, what factors do you actually consider as most important if you are working on some ideas from the scratch, if you would like to build
I'll put it like this.
Anything?
Work yourself to where you feel like you deserve the results that you get. So like, for example, sometimes you need to put yourself at such a risk from a business standpoint. I'm not saying jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm saying okay, when we did the press releases, like when we said that we're going to build the first 3D printed skyscraper in the world, in the UAE, we had no government approval before we said that. And I knew that the press was going to assume that we did. And it made headlines all over. It was on the news in the US and Independent and United Kingdom, everywhere, everyone was posting it. And I remember the head of the Dubai Future Accelerators was like, this is not good, because like a lot of people are asking you guys don't even have a machine and you're announcing that. He's like, one of the people said, it's like Hyperloop, because Hyperloop was in the accelerator program in the batch before us. He's like, that's like saying that the Hyperloop is just going to come and build the Hyperloop in Dubai without asking for any government permission. And that's exactly what we did. We literally just announced it. And it was a major risk, because like I could have, if depending on how the government could have responded, I could have gone to jail for that. I could have had so many negative things happen. I could have gotten shot or killed because someone might have been like, who's this 20-year-old kid taking away our, because there's all these other billionaire real estate developers and everything in the country, and here's this 19-year-old kid here with his business partner who's 27, just making these big announcements, and they don't even have a freaking machine. And everything paid off. Everything worked out completely well, and everything's been amazing. But I've done a lot of shit like that I put myself at major risks numerous times, because it could have been then the government could have said, oh no, blah blah blah, Cazza's done, kick them out, whatever, right? Didn't happen, and I did all these things because I knew that the government wanted a startup to come and say that they were doing big things. So even though I knew that on one hand they were nervous that they were not sure if we could pull through with it, I also knew that they were secretly happy that we did it, because we made the country look a lot more technologically advanced. And it's actually true. We will actually be, once the crane printing method is ready, we will be building the first 3D printed skyscraper in Dubai. So everything that I said is true. It's just that I said it in advance to stir up hype and get things going.
Yeah, because you need, to try to.
I literally wanted to pressure the Dubai government. Like I literally was doing it to pressure the Dubai, even no matter the cost on my end, whether it was my life or my reputation or anything. I was literally doing it because I was like, these people were not moving fast enough on getting the regulations approved, and I'm like, we need to do something. So I'm announcing this so that everyone is thinking, oh shit, this is gonna happen now. So now, oh shit, now we really need to actually get started on passing these laws and stuff.
If you are in the growth phase, you really need to, things get moving.
Exactly.
In terms of anything. So.
Yep.
How many investors actually right now do you have? If it's possible to say.
So one was 700,000, one is 100K, another one was 100K, another one was 50K, I believe. So like 950K, whatever it is, the total is 950K.
In the pre-series A in this round?
In our seed round.
Okay, in the seed round.
And then for this round, we have had interest from like even Siemens, their venture capital arm, and a lot of people. We have a lot of people that reach out for investments. It's just like sometimes they're not so serious and they just like waste their time. It's like we all go through it. Like I've been through so much shit. I've fucking been so broke. I was literally like slept on the sidewalk before, like literally was sleeping on the sidewalk. So, I've been through so many ups and downs, and it's easy to like look at me now and be like, okay, well he's about to become the youngest billionaire in the world in the next 6 months. But at the same time, it's I fucking did so much shit to get here that, and it was all worth it. And I don't regret any second of it. And I love it. It's just that, don't look at it like I just got there. Like, and I talk about it normally. Like, I talk about sleeping in my car for a week like it's a normal thing, which actually, it wasn't that bad. Like, all the things that I went through were never not that bad, And that's the other thing, too, that helped me lose my fear of failure and not care about my reputation. Because I don't have to be telling you guys right now about this stuff about, like, taking the risk with Dubai. I could have just kept that a secret because technically, as the CEO of the company, I shouldn't be saying that we did all these things, right? But I'm telling you because I don't give a shit, because I think you guys should know the truth.
And what about just a last question to investors? How is it if you are going to the meeting and they are maybe they have some they are imagine the so experienced, maybe older guy. Do you think that this is something which you maybe do you have the same experience in the aptitude because you become so successful in a really young age, and it's not so often. So how you are working with that, on the meetings and with that assumption, that they are just thinking that you are a 20 years old guy, but how are you actually working with that?
The thing is, you have to work with what you have. You know what I mean? Whether you're black, white, whether you're a girl or you're a guy, like if you're gonna fucking do it, you're gonna do it regardless. So you can't let anyone like tell you your age or anything. And actually, my age worked in my favor. I felt like, whatever it is, regardless, it always like life is going to work in your favor, even if it doesn't seem like it. And I can promise you that. But beyond that point, it worked in my favor a lot. And people, my dad was like, people won't work with you because you're a high school dropout. And I ended up, a lot of people actually respected that because it shows ambition. They're willing to take risks and all this stuff. So like, you can always look at the negative side, but usually it's going to be a positive. In terms of going to investors, like that's another thing is that we treat, a lot of people treat investors like gods and all this stuff, and it's all crap. That's why when I started Aptitude, I didn't look for investors. I just was like, I just need to make cash because I'm like, I don't want to deal with some asshole who thinks he owns my company just because he's an asshole, right? So my idea was more like, I'm going to make my own money first and then do it. And then when I saw that the investors weren't investing in Cazza originally, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to build the fucking hype out of it. There's a quote, be so good that they can't ignore you. And that's what I thought. It was like, I'm going to piss off as many fucking people as I can on the news, whether it's the government, whether it's the construction companies, whoever it is. I'm gonna say all the right fucking keywords to fucking make them get scared and have to fucking answer to us. And that's what I did.
Okay, this straightforward approach. Okay, I think that we right now have maybe last question before the Q&A part.
Yep.
What would be your advice to young entrepreneurs who are right now maybe thinking about building a business from the scratch? Maybe just 3 pieces of advice. So what would you say?
So I'll put it like this, and it's gonna sound funny because no one ever says this, but it's like the biggest truth, and I think that a lot of entrepreneurs just haven't found it yet, or maybe if they have, they're too scared to say it. But business is one aspect of your life, and then there's also finding your true love with it, which I know sounds really weird or like awkward to say that at a startup grind event, but it's actually massively relevant because I realized that one of the biggest reasons I was depressed was because I knew like I was making a lot of money, but I still felt like lonely. You know, I was like going on Tinder all the time, like going on dates and all this shit, you know, and you know, doing all these random hookups and everything, but I was still feeling like crap, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, like here's my notch count, you know, doing great, you know, my friends like, yeah bro, yeah, you know, all this stupid shit, right? And then like despite all of that, I still was like, something doesn't feel right about this, you know what I mean? And I was like, why am I doing this? Because I always felt like every time I was doing stuff like that, I felt like I was forcing myself to, whether, I don't want to say societal pressure or whatever, but I felt like I had to do it. All my friends felt like they were pressured to doing it. But deep down, I was like, I actually just want one girl for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want to, like I had all these ideas, like, oh, I'm going to, like, live in a mansion, I'll have 10 girls live with me and all this shit, right? And then I was like, because I was living in LA, like I have a fucking stripper pole in my living room, and like I have like fucking P. Diddy's sons come to my house, all these famous rappers and shit come to my house all the time and have parties and girls over all the time. And this is like starting as of August of this year, and I was just like, this is not really like that fun, you know? Like I thought it would be cool, you know what I mean? Like I remember I woke up at 3 a.m. one night because I was partying from the night before, and then like P. Diddy's sons are there. There's like, I don't know, 15, 20 girls. And then there's like 5 guys or something, and for whatever reason I was just like losing my interest in like wanting to party or, you know, hook up with all these girls, and I like over time it just kind of stopped. And then I ended up meeting this girl in the elevator of my building named Denise. This is her scarf, or one of her scarves, and she's older than, you know, a bit older than me, 46, and I'm 20. And, you know, she was just very friendly, and she, when I met her, like, she kind of, like, grabbed my attention, just, like, the way that she was, but I didn't know why. Like, it was different, because I'd been with, my dad was like, you just try every different type of girl, blah, 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 all this shit to see what you like, you know, and regardless of that, and for whatever reason, I was just like, damn, like, I like this chick. So you know, I didn't text her for, like, weeks after I met her, and she was, like, actually texting me and shit. And, you know, meanwhile, I was like talking to other girls, but it wasn't like, for whatever reason, she was always standing out to me, and I didn't know why. You know what I mean? And then, anyway, so then.
Okay, so maybe if we can summarize some 3 points. I think that from what you said, it's maybe that just believe in yourself if you are doing something, and
believe in yourself. Yeah. Go hard in whatever your business is or company or whatever it is that you want to do, whether you want to work for a startup or start your own, whichever one, just go hard in what you think is the right way to do it. And I'm going to tell you this, even today, the majority of people, when I have new ideas, they tell me I'm wrong, and they almost always end up working out. So just go hard in whatever it is you want to do. And then the third thing is just know that your true love is out there within this lifetime, and then you will one day find her if you haven't already.
Okay, thanks, Chris. And yeah, let's go to Q&A. So, how did you solve technological problems like reinforcement or optimal concrete mixture in different weather conditions?
So that one, I mean, from that perspective, we just looked at it from the most basic level of how it would be solved, and like, I mean, really just common sense. Like, okay, if the machine is printing this, then you have someone add in the rebar. You know, as it's being done, and a lot of companies had already done that part of it before I even started Cazza, so I already knew how to do that. Optimal concrete mixture in different weather conditions. I mean, you know, you base that off of if it's in Dubai, you understand that there's certain factors in terms of how, you know, with the concrete and how long it takes for it to get ready, so to settle and everything. So. We just adjusted it based off of that, and then there's other, like there's University of Eindhoven, which has already been researching it for years, Berat Kwasniewicz at USC, who invented 3D printing construction, and he came up with the idea in the 90s, before anyone was even talking about it. So,
and if you are using the concrete, which you have right now, the right mixture, could you build with that building at the same, you know, time in Dubai or in I don't know, Russia or in some North state is the same?
Yep.
Okay, so doesn't matter if there is temperature, minus 20
the formulas,
degrees.
The formulas are locally produced depending on the country or area, based on the conditions, and then it's used for that. Any entrepreneur I look up to. It's funny because like, I've taken inspiration from different entrepreneurs like Mark Zuckerberg for, you know, doing, you know, you know, for obviously becoming the youngest billionaire in the world and things like that. But I also don't look up to any entrepreneurs in a way too. Like I literally, like my goal literally is to become the entrepreneur. And when I say that, like I want to be the one that like literally, that's when I dropped, and I know maybe that sounds cocky or whatever, but when I dropped out of high school, I was like, I'm dropping out of high school. I had good grades, right? I'm like, I'm taking away all this stuff so that I can literally be the role model entrepreneur of someone who does not even have a high school diploma yet becomes the youngest billionaire in the world. That was what it was in my mind at the time, and I'm already on that path, and I'm about to reach that probably within the next 6 months. So, you know, I wanted to be the inspiration of me, Chris Kelsey, and be my own role model.
Because I read an article where you mentioned that you at
Richard
the beginning,
Branson.
you read some book
So I read
from Napoleon Hill and this kind of guys.
So there's Think and Grow Rich, which is one of the books by Napoleon Hill. Talks about different Thomas Edison and different people that have reached success in their lives. And all those things were inspiring to me, and I did look up to them in a certain area. You know, I looked up to them for what they did in that area, but overall I didn't fully agree with a lot of them. You know, I think Tesla, for example, I love that Elon Musk is pushing electric cars, but I actually think Tesla is a horrible company, and they suck, and their cars are made in China, and they import the parts and assemble them in the US, and I'm going to make a way better car company. But, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying that, but I don't even care. So yeah.
Okay.
But I still big respect to Elon Musk, he's a great guy.
Okay. So what exactly can your machine print? Just concrete or also pipes and wires?
So it does currently the X1 does the concrete shell of the entire house. It doesn't do the pipes or the wires. That's manually added in after.
Okay, and yeah, I think that we how much? We actually answered that.
Yep.
So maybe guys, if you have maybe 3 last questions, just ask them if you have. If there's anyone would you like to ask?
Yep.
You seem a big fan of faking until you make it. Every time you faked it and didn't make it. Do you remember?
There was never a time that it's funny because people don't they talk about fake news and stuff on the press all the time, and it is. I'll just say this: people do not fact check as much as you would think that they do. So a lot of the big numbers you hear in Silicon Valley, what I'm saying is true regarding we did receive 950K in seed funding, and that's all true. But you'll see XYZ company raises $100 million in their fund for this or that, or this company's acquired for $300 million. A lot of that is bullshit. I'm not going to say who, but I know someone that was on the news all over the place that said that their company was acquired for millions of dollars, and it was not acquired for anything. It was just shut down. And that's very common, and no one even knows that. And that's why I'm also saying this too, because I want people to know that there's a lot of, and it's not that it's necessarily bad that there's BS. When I read the articles, I laugh because I know what the real deal is, But I say it because people have it makes you set a high standard for yourself because you're like, oh, I got to make this happen for myself because I saw that this article did it, when really the article was bullshit in the first place, So I'm not saying not everything's bullshit either. There is a lot of legit success stories, you know what I mean? But Facebook, for example, I'm pretty sure they exaggerated their user amounts when they were first, back in 2008, 2009, when they said, oh, we have first 500 million users, 1 billion users. Think about how many fake Facebook accounts there are. And they definitely included those fake Facebook accounts in that, which is probably accounts for a couple 100 million of them. No offense. I mean, obviously Facebook is awesome. I'm just saying, every single major company that is faked until they made it.
Okay.
Hands down, every single one. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, but maybe one point in your life you can be in that situation, that once it's not working, that fake it till you make it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about faking it in the right sense of having good intentions, because you can fake something and be a complete liar and hurt people. What I did, the faking I did was not to hurt people. It was because I had this vision. I wanted people to know that we can build this machine. And
but even in the business, you can make fake it, still make it with your business partners, and it depends how.
It depends on how you do it.
Investors,
so and it's easy to take and fake it till you make it out of context. I'm not saying fuck people over or any of those things. Literally, I took all of these risks, all of these fake it till you make it things because I wanted to change the freaking world, and I was going to do whatever it took, and I knew that if I didn't do those things, people would not have had the hype, I wouldn't have been able to put the pressure on that I really wanted to do. So that's why, like, when I say fake it till you make it, I'm not saying like you have to lie about everything. And in fact, if you can be honest about it, that's far better. Every single investor that we had knew like everything that they needed to know about the company, and that was completely legit. We didn't lie to them. You know what I mean? And other people have raised money by lying to the investors. You know what I mean? We didn't do that. But the thing is, at the end of the day, is it's like you have to do what you think is right in your heart, and that's up for you to decide. Sometimes you may do things that may seem like they're bad at that moment, but you know that in the long run it's actually better for that person or for the world or whatever it is. And that's something that I learned. And I never really did anything bad to anyone. I'm just saying, like, every time they exaggerated in the press and stuff, which we definitely did that. So.
Okay, thanks. So last question is.
What do you think about faking it until you make? Really quick.
Oh.
So I want to answer that one. What do you think about faking it until you make it in the context of ICOs? I mean, I'm sure that a lot of the companies have actually had successful ICOs, but honestly, like, you could make up any number. Literally, if I wanted to make an article today saying that Cazza just raised a $250 million ICO, it would be all over the news and no one would question it.
Okay. And
I'm
maybe
just saying that right now.
The second one. You've talked about what you aim to achieve within the next 3 till 5 years. So what's your goal for the next 10, 20, or 30 years?
My goal is to, sounds funny or whatever, but like I want to.
With Cazza, with rebranding, maybe what's your goal?
No, I would say I have a global. Cazza is just like one part. I mean, honestly, like my goal is to completely unite humanity so that stop all war, all that kind of stuff. That'll be cool. Obviously, help rebuild. Everything, and then spread our knowledge to other planets because we're not the only ones out there. So build up the technology so we can like colonize other places, and then like just continue to build and help the universe, because I actually think that's what it's about. I don't think like we have this whole scary destructive thing like aliens are destructive and all this kind of shit, but I actually think that the world's a positive place and that we just don't always recognize that on a day-to-day basis because we have to deal with bullshit stress sometimes. Also, someone said, why did you come to Prague? I was invited to do different conferences and I guess some other stuff. I was actually just got out of jail 2 days ago, so I came late.
Different story.
Different story. I got late for the meeting, so I didn't make the flight. Which
Yeah, but you are here, so.
But I'm here,
awesome.
exactly.
So thank you very much, Chris,
Thank
for
you
coming.